Hello and welcome to CATSweek. I'm Annalise Poorman. At the Bloomington City Council Committee of the Whole meeting on September 22nd, Mayor John Hamilton spoke about the 2024 budget. He shared comparisons to the 2023 budget and explained the changes that have taken place since the budget was first proposed.
Our Civil City 2024 budget proposal is just over $131 million, up about 1.4% from the 2023 budget. When we add the one-time appropriations of just over $19 million, combining the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, and Local Community Revitalization and Enhancement District, CREED, sources, we come to $151 million, up 16.4% from 2023. The total 2024 city budget, including utilities, transit, and housing authority, is $229 million, a decrease of just under 1% from the current 2023 budget. When you add the ARPA CREED 19, that total is $248 million, up 7.6% from 2023.
Council member Steve Volan asked why the administration did not spend the CREED funds earlier. Hamilton responded that they regarded them as something to spend slowly and reserve for future projects. Next, Interim HR Director Emily Fields presented an ordinance to fix the salaries of appointed officers, non-union, and AFSCME employees for all of the departments of the City of Bloomington and Monroe County.
I'm here to present Ordinance 2325 that sets pay for appointed officers, non-union, and AFSCME employees for 2024. As a reminder, the administration has budgeted for a 5% increase to non-union civil city salaries, and those covered by the AFSCME agreement will also receive a 5% increase. Rates for common law or temporary positions have also been adjusted due to the increase in the living wage hourly rate. Currently is $15.29 an hour, and it'll go to $15.75 and $24 an hour. As previously mentioned, a $10,000 increase has been budgeted for the City Council Administrator Attorney in accordance with the City Council's request. The ordinance also includes a $500 bonus for eligible employees. This ordinance increases the city's workforce by about the equivalent of 31 40-hour-per-week employees. Changes to 24 non-temporary or regular positions are reflected in this ordinance, along with several changes to temporary positions. 9 of those regular positions are considered repurposed. This means we change their pay grade and we change their title. 5 of these positions received a pay grade change only, and about 10 actually, positions received a title change only. Pay grades are determined by a point factor evaluation method. I request that when the time comes, you approve this ordinance, and I'm happy to answer your questions.
Councilmember Isabel Piedmont Smith asked about the $500 bonus for employees included in the ordinance. Fields responded.
This year we gave almost all employees a $1,000 bonus, just as a response to rising inflation, other pressures with retention, pay, different economic pressures that are happening for our employees. And this year we wanted to sustain some of that, in 2024 we wanted to sustain some of that additional pay.
The council unanimously voted to approve the ordinance. The City Council will take a final vote on the 2024 budget on October 11th. At the Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners meeting on September 26th, Mayor John Hamilton spoke on behalf of Parks Director Paula McDevitt and her retirement.
Our Parks Director, Paula McDevitt, is retiring effective October 16th, right a little bit before your next meeting, and I wanted to take this occasion to comment publicly, briefly about that, and thank Paula directly here in front of you and in front of the public for her amazing public service. She has been a public servant, as you mentioned, for 35 years. I've worked with Paula directly for the last 8 years as the Director of Parks and Recreation. She is an extraordinary, exemplary public servant. She has assembled a wonderful team which has evolved in your time. many of whom are here in the room. I won't start naming them, but she has been a terrific recruiter and leader, a servant leader with them to continue the tradition of a fantastic department. She has initiated programs, sustained programs, of course, many, but also initiated programs like the Centerstone Partnership of extraordinary impact and hiring, the electrification of so much of your equipment, all the recreation work that you do and entertainment work and getting through a pandemic, by the way, and with increasing focus on climate response and diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging in wonderful and powerful ways. Paula is a planner, like Parks people are, organized, developing the strategy, developing the long-range plans, which is so important as we can get swept up in individual events and decisions, and those are important, but also keeping the eye on that long-term ball. You've done an amazing job with that, Paula. Of course, you've been a fantastic custodian and steward of our parks, as you all see every day, a visionary, too, in the parks, and I, of course, will mention the legacy of Switchyard Park, which will always be yours, and for the future generations, an extraordinary thing. And not many parks directors in the country get to be a gold medal winner, which you did. And I was there when it happened, and it was pretty exciting to be declared the best parks and recreation system in the country of your size city. So, Paula, you have been an extraordinary leader. I couldn't be prouder of what you've done for the city, your impact.
McDevitt also said a few words about her time working with the Parks and Recreation staff.
Thank you, Mayor Hamilton and Board of Park Commissioners, and to the staff gathered behind me. This is what makes what I'm very excited about retirement, but what makes it bittersweet. To have served alongside the staff who have retired, and just to lead an incredible group of people who are so dedicated to the work that they do, and to take challenges, to take risks. We rise and we fall, we brainstorm, we get through things, and Mayor Hamilton mentioned the pandemic, and that's probably one of the most poignant parts of our history, and just to exemplify that is, you know, there's a lot of energy with Parks and Recreation in the work that we do, and during those days when the office was silent and that energy and that synergy was missing, really was hard. And to watch that come back and just move forward with what we do. We love what we do, and just can't thank you enough. I've had an incredible career, and proud of the work that we've done together, and can't thank you all enough for being there and for shepherding us through.
The next Bloomington Board of Park Commissioners meeting will be held on October 24th. At the Bloomington Board of Public Works meeting on September 26, Board President Kyla Cox-Deckard opened bids received for a restorative roof coating at Fire Station Number 2.
We received 2 quotes. The first one is from Ancris LLC. It is in the amount of $138,000. The second quote is from B&L Sheet Metal and Roofing. It is in the amount of $161,900.
Public Works Director Adam Wason said that Public Works staff will review the bids and bring a recommendation to the board at the next meeting. During public comment, Bloomington resident David Ebbinghaus thanked the board for delaying the sidewalk closure request and shared that he has received feedback from residents who are also opposed to the Gateway project.
I didn't mean to become a lightning rod for this issue, but just by chance, I've been hearing from a lot of people about this, and they're really upset about it. So basically what we want to do is not have the tower. And the money for the parks is fine. Everybody loves the parks. And a $500,000 upgrade to the north end of Miller Showers is most welcome. But the aesthetics of it, the placement of it, the design of it, the process by which it was selected, all of these things are troubling to the community. So unfortunately, I'm the spokesperson for this point of view.
Before discussing the lane and sidewalk closure request from Reed and Sons for the Bloomington Gateway project at Miller Showers Park, Wason spoke on the controversy over the project and the role of the Board of Public Works on the matter.
You know, I think one of the things that the city as a whole probably should have done better here is, you know, there was some comment that this is a public art piece. And that term was used. We've talked internally, and I think I just want to make a point that, you know, we have a very vibrant artist community, and I think if we all had it to do differently, that this would always just be referred to as the Gateway Project. This is a welcome sign to Bloomington, and the aesthetics of which can be debated by all. And if it wasn't Bloomington, I wouldn't expect that anything different would happen than a good debate about an issue. So just wanted to start with a general comment there. And I also wanted to add that, to make some additional comments to say that, you know, the Board of Public Works is tasked with reviewing a lot of different things on behalf of the city administration and the city as a whole. And that includes things like use of the public right-of-way. And what is being asked tonight is that the board consider a use of the public right-of-way to install improvements to the right-of-way, as well as to facilitate the installation of the gateway piece. There's been a lot of discussion since our last meeting. I want to give a lot of credit to city staff and to others. There's been a lot of discussion about the issues that have been raised, whether it was by the public or by the board, from everything of the migratory patterns of birds to downlighting of the structure to what the public benefits of the public improvements are, and how that is also impacted by the future conversation about the College and Walnut corridor study, which is currently underway, being led by the Planning and Transportation Department. So recognizing that there are a lot of different issues that have been associated with the project, just wanted to make the reminder to the board and to the public that the Board of Public Works did not approve contracts for this project. That's not in the purview of the board in the sense that this is a Parks and Recreation Department-led project that is governed, the contracts of which are governed and approved by the Board of Parks Commissioners. This was not a project that the Board of Public Works was asked to review from an aesthetics perspective. That's not the role that the board is asked to play as part of their charter and state statute for boards of public works. What is being asked of the board is to consider the use of the right-of-way and the public improvements that are associated with it as part of this project.
Wason added that the project would also fund additional items beyond the art installation. He also addressed concerns the public brought up regarding birds and energy efficiency.
Some of the other smaller things that are included with this project that may seem small, but are also pretty big items too. It includes the removal of invasive calorie pear trees. You know, something we've not talked about yet, but these are invasive trees that have been planted all over Bloomington that create a lot of problems with the stability of the trees during storms and other things. It'll plant 26 new native trees with 8 flowering type species that we worked with the Tree Commission on. It's got limestone block installations and 9 types of native plants. And in the end, it's a gateway project for the city. That is what it is. It's a gateway project that announces you're in Bloomington and such. It's been designed and worked with on a firm that does this in multiple communities, and we've got lots of examples of the work they've done. I want to give a lot of credit to Tim Street and the staff in Parks for hearing the public comments that have come and answering those and coming up with some really great responses and information for folks to understand. There is no uplighting with this project. The lighting is LED and draws the equivalent power of about 2.5 LED streetlights. So there's some question on whether it be solar powered or not, but that LED is, an energy efficient design. The lights are covered in translucent acrylic and then laser cut metal panel, and that breaks up the profile or the clear area that the conversation around the bird flight patterns went into. And we have control over the lights, what color they are, when they're on, when they're off, things like that. But that's the work of Parks and their team to really kind of outline what the project is, what the project isn't, whether or not, you know, and it's understandable that the community has brought concerns and wants to have further dialogue about this project, and I appreciate that the board did allow that with a couple more weeks. I'll also note that in conversation with the engineering staff and other transportation professionals, that when we consider the possible impacts of the College and Walnut Corridor study, the public improvements related to this project, even if they were only, if it was a 5-year or a 7-year, these are short-term improvements that are going to benefit a lot of residents in the area with better accessibility to transit stops and better safety crossings of the busy corridor that is College Walnut, and a lot of other safety factors. And so those short-term benefits are something that we very much value, very much look forward to.
Cox-Deckard commented that she had concerns before about the overlap between this project and the corridor study. She asked if there's been communication between the Parks Department and the College and Walnut Corridor Committee.
I'd be curious to hear a little bit more about the way that this update is communicated to the College and Walnut Corridor Committee, and how the city sees those interactions happening as far as, since we've got this process underway, understanding how that committee is informed of and aware of some of these updates in order to make good decisions as they're working as well.
Wason explained that the Planning and Transportation Department is working on this study and that they are in regular communication with them.
Not only the ADA ramps, but the crosswalks that get the folks across College and Walnut, the internal sidewalks, the additional ADA ramps, the improvement of the crossover pedestrian refuge island, you know, all of those aspects, as well as the sidewalk on the west side of Walnut that is going to be installed to help with the pedestrian flow during this project and into the future for just pedestrian travel. Like, all of those aspects are going to be communicated to not only the steering committee, but are part of the conversation with the planning and transportation staff as we've gotten to this point.
Wason added that the study is just in the beginning phases.
Without the study even having identified any specific projects or design needs for the College and Walnut corridor, we would be years, if not long, we would be many, many years away from getting to a point of construction documents being ready to go out to bid for any projects related to that corridor study. That's that short-term, long-term that I've been kind of referring to. If the project were, if the whole corridor was studied and recommended to be one project that takes on the whole apple of the corridor improvements, you know, you're looking at probably a multiple tens of millions of dollars of project there. I can't ever imagine that it would end up in that form. What I imagine is that it would be pieced off into smaller projects that would then need to identify funding sources, whether MPO or other grant funding or regular city funding to implement them. And when I talk about that 3 to 5+ year time frame, that's what I'm referring to, is getting from a corridor study to an engineered construction document out to bid perspective to actually constructing anything.
During final comment on the closure request, Cox-Deckard shared her concerns, her appreciation for the Parks Board, and the Public Works staff.
There are issues that I still am grappling with. You know, I'm grappling with the timeline of this closure, in the sense of the way that it impacts people traversing the right-of-way during this busy fall season. The length of time that it is being occupied and closed, you know, is a concern of mine. As I expressed, you know, I had concerns about the College and Walnut Corridor study and the ways that this might impact or change that process. I will say I do appreciate that the information of this project is going to be part of the College and Walnut Corridor Study Committee's review and understanding in what this might look like. So just want to offer that comment that I appreciate that modification has been made. I'm still a little bit unclear about the way that the right-of-way requests are going to move forward. This is one right-of-way request, but it sounds like there may be another right-of-way request, and I'm not sure that we know exactly what that looks like, or if that's going to be something that comes to fruition. So, I am still grappling with some of these questions and issues.
Cox Deckard said that she still has questions and is not ready to vote on the item. Board member Elizabeth Karen also made a comment stating that she is in favor of the right-of-way request.
It is not up to me as a member of this board to consider the gateway work within Miller Showers Park. Questions or concerns about the relative merits of the gateway project, including its desirability, design, artistic merit, cost, and funding, are all topics for other statutorily established entities, elected officials, and city staff. It is up to this board to consider only the right-of-way request before us. And thus, after taking time and a lot of thought to review the responsibility of this board as it relates to this project, I will be voting in favor of the right-of-way use tonight.
Karen moved to approve the sidewalk and lane closure request. The motion did not receive a second and failed. The next Bloomington Board of Public Works meeting will be held on October 10th. The Monroe County Justice Fiscal Advisory Committee met on Tuesday, September 26th. The short meeting was convened to approve the amended recommendations that will be submitted to the Monroe County Council. The recommendations were first mentioned by Councilor Iverson in an effort to describe how public comment has changed the document.
We're going to move on to the approval of recommendations to the Monroe County Council from this body. This is the 35 recommendations that we discussed at length at the last JFAC meeting. We also, in the weeks since that last meeting, took public comment via email, and if you wanted to call into the council office, on social media, or whatever ways you wanted to get in touch with us, that resulted in the document that we have before us here in print that we're holding up. It is also available at the aforementioned website, co.monroe.in.us. In the meeting packet, it is also available on the JFAC website. If you Google JFAC Monroe County, it's the first link that comes up, or it should be the first link that comes up. This summary document is available to you. I'm going to mention that staff worked very diligently, literally through the night last night and a little bit this morning to update this document that's on the website and before us with every single piece of public comment that we received. So what you see before you online and what you see here in front of us is truly a reflection of what the community thinks and feels about the recommendations.
The Women's Commission has removed their recommendations from the JFAC's document and have created their own that will be submitted to the Monroe County Council. When discussed in the meeting, Councilor Iverson praised the well-written and researched document. Councilor Wiltz added her comments on the recommendations.
I do think it's important to explicitly state that we felt like the Women's Commission is its own body, worthy of making recommendations on this topic. Mm-hmm. And therefore, their document stands on its own and, I think has just as much credibility and worth as our own set of recommendations. And I appreciate them commenting in our forum and keeping us apprised of what they were doing. And I don't want them to feel that they were omitted because of any devaluing of their work product, because as you said, it's quality and valuable.
JFAC's list of recommendations was referred to as a living document by Councilmember Wiltz in an effort to explain future revisions to add dollar amounts for each listed item, as well as combining, revising, or deleting items. She then made a motion to forward the recommendation to the Monroe County Council, quickly followed by a second from Councilmember Crossley. Public comment was heard on various topics brought up in the document, including site selection. The motion was revisited and brought to a voice vote.
All those in favor of the motion to forward this list of recommendations to the County Council, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it unanimously. Congratulations.
There are no more scheduled meetings for the Monroe County Justice Fiscal Advisory Committee at this time. And that is all for CATSweek. Thank you for joining us. For CATS and WFHB, I'm Annalise Poorman.